Oh, yeah. It's time. Vertigo is coming back. Haven't been here for a minute, but I'm back now. This is your host, Sean. Like I said, bringing back Vertigo. And we're going to make sure we keep it a little bit more on the regular this time. So thank you for joining me. And for return listeners, thank you so much. So Vertigo is going to change formats a little bit. Used to be a lot about making fun of like news and shit like that. But now I've got a co-host with me today.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, man.
Zachary Sanders here.
That's right. That's right.
Warming up to the mic. I hear echo on me more than you.
Okay.
Do you hear that?
I don't hear an echo on you. I've got the echo off.
It sounds open, but okay. Yeah, we'll run it.
Yeah, we're going to do this. So we just got some new podcast equipment that we're testing out, trying to be a little bit more professional, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's nice equipment, too.
Thank you, man.
Just got to work on myself. You sound great.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, well, in fairness, I had some time to mess with it a little bit, too.
Yeah.
So
It works, though, and that's the most important part.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So we're going to get used to it. Production, I do plan on, that's a good point too, because I didn't really do too much with the production of Vertigo when I was doing it. It was really just meant to be a scratch pad to keep me doing a podcast, because On the Rocks was kind of in this place of flux.
Yeah.
So Vertigo was really born out of that, but I'm actually happy to kind of start getting serious about, not serious. I mean, we gotta lighten.
I'm excited for you to start it. Just like I am with your son Sean. He has his own podcast, Maple Talks, on Spotify.
Right.
I can listen to people do podcasts all day, especially people I know. I'm so interested in it. Yeah. I'm definitely more of a sit back, listen, critic you, and let you know how it's going.
Yeah, I agree. And I noticed too that I like listening to, for example, you brought up Maple Talks, which is actually great.
Yeah.
And is probably that I listen to that before I can almost listen to anything else. So there's a shout out to Sean also. But in all seriousness, because where I'm going with that is I really like the local vibe, like supporting local. It's kind of like if you know somebody's a local artist, support them.
Support them, yeah.
I agree with that.
It feels better to support a smaller company, business person than just these big companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good.
I agree with that.
I can tell you the ride here was fun until you're stuck behind slow people. If I drove my car, I would have been one of the slow people, but I'm in my girlfriend's monster truck. So
I know it. I think it does pretty good in the snow.
Oh, it does great. I just can't believe, I mean, you saw no road until Mexico Point. That is wild.
Yeah. And usually it's the opposite, because I live in the North Country. So things have changed a little bit for me, because I used to do this originally from the shed in Oswego. We've upgraded a little bit from the shed.
Yep. No, this is nice. I'm excited for you to start this, see where it goes.
Yeah, thank you, man. I am too. And that kind of leads to a good point, because as I was talking about, I kind of want to get away from doing the satire. I've had enough of like the news and
100%.
Yeah.
I can't watch the news. It's all propaganda and left and right.
Yeah, it's just
I'm not into it.
It's too much.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I can't do that either. So and not only that, I feel like there's just too many critics nowadays anyway. So it's like it's not even funny anymore to do anything.
You're never right in front of a camera.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I thought we'd kind of, again, I don't want to be serious, but my intent with Vertigo is to really kind of embrace just where I am at in my life, and then kind of just vibe on that. You know, I feel like I'm approaching 50. I'm not 50 yet. But
how old are you?
48.
48?
Yeah.
You've had experience, but you still got like 50 more years of experience to go.
Absolutely.
That's wild to think about.
It is pretty crazy.
Yeah, dude. 50 years isn't that long of a time.
Well, and I appreciate that you say that, because I don't feel like it is. I feel still like, I guess, young at heart, I guess, is you know, because my body, obviously, I have creaks and cracks.
Yeah,
and
little joint problems.
Yeah, exactly. And, but I think I still feel like a kid at heart, I guess, is my point.
It's good. I think you kind of stay young that way, in my opinion. I always want to stay young at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
you got grandkids around that helps with that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I'm so blessed because the grandkids are just, they're beautiful, man. And that's a great actually point that you bring up because it's really the grandkids that have got me thinking about this.
Yeah.
I got to stay up on the mic a little bit or it gets to kind of sound weird, but
yeah.
So I apologize. Again, this is our first run in a while. So I didn't want to do a trailer, and I'll go back to what I was saying. I won't forget, but I didn't want to do a trailer per se because I did a trailer for season 2 on Vertigo and then never followed through.
Mm-hmm.
So I really thought, you know what? I'm going to put this out. I'm going to edit it. So some of this stuff may be edited out.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I want to do a better production. I want to be more serious about the whole thing and really make it nice to listen to. So, but anyway, the grandkids.
Yep.
It's cool because the grandkids are really what helped me get in this vibe of like kind of becoming a little more introspective, I guess. And I guess really kind of looking at my life and the choices and things that I don't know, and nothing negative. It's like this cool like growth. Like, you know, I had to learn a lot along the way because, you know, for example, I started raising kids when I was like 20, 21 years old, you know, and, you know, with my first marriage. And so, you know, I've had a lot of growing up because I was a kid raising kids and so forth at that age at 20, you know?
Yeah.
And then had Shawnee at 24, you know, which is, again, but it's the journey. Like nothing negative. It's all positive experiences, but it helped form me.
Yeah, it's the journey 100%. One of my old jobs, I think I was 20 or 21, maybe 22. But I had a friend, Jordan, and he was 20 years old with 2 kids. Yep. And he was a well put together guy. He wasn't, I worked the third shift, the night shift, so it was full of like just kind of like crackhead people. Like I had one guy who worked there said, I can't wait to take my painkillers on break. Just people like that.
Right.
But the Jordan guy, well put together guy. And I said, how can you have 2 kids right now? And he's like, well, it's better to have them young so I have the energy to keep up with them. And I took that serious and had a kid a year later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made sense to me.
Right.
Because right now, looking back at the newborn stage, at least with my son, he barely slept. So I was like forced to do everything. You know, he pooped his pants. I had to change it. It was just on 24/7 call, pretty much. That will kick you right in the butt, and it humbles you a bit. It made me feel like work was very easy, and I almost wanted to go back to it. But you learn so much. You work your butt off with the newborn.
I agree with that.
Wow.
And I think parenthood changes you, right? I mean, you do become, because it's like, you know what I love about parenthood, I think, and grandparent, now that I'm there, is, how do I want to put this? It's like I now become the curator of our history. You know what I mean? So I'm not talking about erasing the past, but like I get to be the catalyst for change in somebody's life, right? So because think about it, I could act like my parents or whatever and continue a cycle of whatever. I mean,
how they raised you.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Good, bad, or indifferent, right? For me, it was not so good. And, you know, and that's not like everybody's got a history. For me, it was not so good. Yeah. So then what I find so honorable about becoming a grandparent now, and what I'm talking about with introspect too, is I want to model differently. You know, I want my relationships to be healthy. I want to, and I know that there's no such thing as perfection, right? But I mean, that's to me what I kind of like think about, I guess, is like, you know, how do I become better? Like one of the things, deservability has always been hard. Like I always tell people they deserve things, but then I often feel like I don't deserve things. So how do I work on that, right? Because I believe that I am a compassionate person. I believe you're a compassionate person. We deserve things, right? Yeah. But the mind says, no, you don't. You know what I mean? So it's like that kind of introspect where it's like, you know what? I'm getting to an age where it's like, I do deserve good things. My family, my grandkids, you know, are gifts. And I deserve that because they bring me joy, right? So
you do.
instead of projecting my negativity and maybe staying away, it's like, no, I want to be more involved, right? So that's what I mean. So I guess that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You're in a position where you're like the wisdom wizard, or the wizard of wisdom. And I don't know, you've been through what you've been through, and obviously you are different because you're not in jail or anything. And
Thank you.
You learn from the situation you were put through.
Yes.
To become this wisdom of wizard for these beautiful grandkids you have. So I don't know, it's a beautiful thing. You deserve the grandkids, and the grandkids deserve someone like you for sure.
Thank you, man.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
that.
Yeah,
I appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. Drink some
Yeah,
Jack and Coke.
we are sharing in a glass of whiskey as we do the not inaugural, right?
Just the revival.
The revival. That's the word I was
Vertigo.
looking for.
Yep.
Maybe I should lay off the whiskey and the weed. No.
Just the whiskey.
Full disclosure. No, anyway.
Just the whiskey.
That's right. So before I digress too much further,
yeah.
One of my thoughts today to keep in the mood kind of light was when you I want to tell a quick story, actually. Is that okay?
Hey, dude, you're running the show. Tell the story.
Well, I don't want to talk too much either, though.
It doesn't matter. I'm a great listener. I'll talk when I want to talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No worries.
So, quick story. So, we talked about Maple Talks at the very beginning of this when we first cracked the mics on.
Yep.
And I had done an episode with Sean on Maple Talks.
2 of them, right?
Yeah, 2 so far.
2 of
but
them.
the first episode, you had reached out and said, dude, just listen to that. And we started talking about some topics within.
Yeah.
One of them was music.
Yes.
And I can't remember, but we had talked about topics and whatnot.
Yep.
And from that, you planted the seed of, have you thought about getting Vertigo
going again?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you said at the end of that podcast, you said you wanted to and you were going to. And like I said earlier, I want everybody I know to start something they're interested in. And I will try my best to be involved and help it grow. Yeah, dude. And that's what I like. I find happiness in helping others. That's where most of my happiness comes from. So.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Given that. And so you did ignite that for me. So you did bring that to me. And I want to, thank you for that, because yes, we were talking about bringing Vertigo back, but I don't know how serious I was. Like, I think, so this is kind of the other thing with the interest back that, not to get into all this stuff right away, I guess. But one of the things is I am 2 things that kind of caused me to kind of get in my own way.
Yeah.
One, I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And what I've learned over the years about being a perfectionist is there's nothing can be perfect. And so it either trips me up so I don't start a project because I know it's just not going to be perfect, or maybe I don't have the skills to do it, or whatever the excuse, because that's what it becomes.
But you don't think, because there is no such thing as perfection, but you don't think trying your best equals perfection? Because if you try your best, there's nothing else you could have done.
And that's, yes.
So, I mean, if there's no such thing as perfection and you acknowledge that, then what would you call perfection? Getting it done, maybe? Or trying your best?
I think if it had like a legit label on it from like the DSM, it's probably more like obsessive compulsive disorder, I think.
Yeah.
In the sense of, because I actually saw a therapist at one point in my life. Like, this was years and years and years ago. I don't necessarily believe it per se, but I had a therapist say, have you ever talked to a psychiatrist or your doctor about, obsessive compulsive disorder? No, I hadn't. And
so enlighten me, because I have nothing. Like, I don't have ADHD.
Yeah.
I am a chill person, a chill guy, calm soul.
Absolutely.
What is it like to have that?
Yeah, so I think I spend a lot of time in my own mind. And like I said, that then gets me in my own way, because, for example, projection we were talking about is a perfect thing. I make up scenarios in my mind, right? Like, I don't know. I'm just going to do something live fiction. This is fiction, but live on the spot. Because I'm never good at coming up with a true story when it's time to come up with a true story.
Yep.
So, Zach doesn't like me for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
And we've never had a conversation about this, but and it can. I should say where it stems from. So let's say I text you right now. I send you a text, right?
Yeah.
Hey Zach, what's up? Let's schedule a time when we can get on Vertigo together.
Yep.
And then because I know you have an iPhone, right? You have an iPhone?
Yep.
Okay, I thought so. And the reason I know that is because I'm told whether I'm red or unread in my text, right? And let's say you leave me on red for a little while. Even though I feel like I'm a pretty confident person and I understand that people have lives and get busy, the mental health part of it is the obsessive thought starts creeping in saying, well, you pissed him off. And then I start thinking, well, when did I piss him off? Well, because you said something stupid at the Christmas party. What did I say at the Christmas? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
it's this cycle of negative behavior or negative,
Do you do anything to control it? Like
now, I'm not used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
so you've gotten better at dealing with OCD.
I think weed helps. To be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fact.
It is. Yeah. I feel like it really does because part of the obsessiveness, I guess, the obsessive thoughts that kind of creep in, brings a certain level of anxiety.
Yeah, but if you didn't have God's green gift, marijuana, what would you do?
Well, originally a long time ago, I was on Prozac actually.
Okay, so medication.
Yeah. So it was originally that's how it was like they wanted it to be. You had to be medicated with an SSRI. And that comes with a whole list of other problems that come into your life.
I'm very against it, against medication. Yeah. Like, I'm against the whole interaction of a doctor saying, oh, here you go. This will fix it. Yeah. I'm a believer that you could try other things before just needing these pills. I know.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I found
people like Gia, for instance, probably she needs some pills and medication, right? I'm assuming.
I would say so. If I would just interject real quick, as I'm following you in the sense that yes, because I think what you're saying and what I'm hearing saying, I'm just clarifying for my own mind. Yeah. Like Gia has like legit medical, like her pituitary gland is damaged, and so therefore therapy or alternative medicine, it can't fix the damage. So therefore she needs medication, right?
Yes. But like Prozac or medication for depression or something, and I know it's a hot topic, but exercise, that will help 100%. How can we not think like that? How can a doctor say, here's pills, but stay at home, don't move? I don't like that interaction.
No, I agree.
Me, for instance, I've been, in quotes, depressed, super sad. I've never once thought I needed medication. And I've had people tell me, oh, maybe you should go get medication. No, I'm going to just do what I think makes me happy. Smoking weed, hanging out with friends, walking by the lake, looking at the sunset. Simple things make me happy.
Right.
Anything that looks peaceful to me makes me happy.
Yep. Right. And I think you're right. And now, so this is where it goes a little deeper for me.
Yeah.
Because exactly what you're saying to me is then that's a spiritual journey, which
it's more on the spiritual side. Yeah.
And but there.
It's almost pretending too. Like, obviously I'm just looking at a sunset, but to be in the moment and just enjoy it. It's the whole deal. It's the whole package of being happy. It's not just looking at the sunset. It's okay, I'm able to look at the sunset. A big thing is if I wake up in the morning, I gotta be happy. Because people die. They don't wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
So I gotta be happy. I'm a pretty grateful person, I think. I've had a lot of people do great things for me, so I keep that energy with me.
Yeah, man. And I think, and again, and this is why I think this is incredible. This is incredible. Yeah. Because I'm just blown away because I never imagined being able to have this kind of discussion, to be honest with you.
With a 24-year-old.
Yeah, but crazy. Not, to me, like, I don't want to sound cliche, whatever. I mean, to me, it's like age is just a number because I've met, I've met so many people who are quote unquote old souls,
Yeah.
Maddox, for example.
Maddox,
You know, because he's even younger. You know,
he's had what younger kids call a glow up. He's had a pretty good glow up.
I would agree.
Like, man, and I'm not around often, but to see the change, I guess, just Maddox being at his computer and playing games, and all of a sudden he's into physical fitness, his rock music, the guitar.
He's an incredible guitar player.
I believe it. I will be honest, I don't watch his Snapchats, but I'm barely on my phone anyway. So
and you got a young one to you got a youngin.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I'm very proud of is the fact, like, I never thought that this would go, but spirituality is really what. So if I can say real quick, because I don't want to get into the religion bullshit talk. I don't, because people won't really want to hear that anyway.
No, that's boring.
But no, I think that religion and spirituality are very different. I grew up with religion. All right. What I have found is spirituality, though, and that's a connectiveness to nature, to people. Yeah. Like, I really only recently have really started kind of believing in that whole golden thread kind of analogy. Like, there's a golden thread that connects all sources of energy through life. You know, all living things are connected through this.
I've never heard of the golden thread.
The golden thread, and some people call that love. You know, like, not romantic love, but like
kindness, caring. Love.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And there are people who are kind of tapped into or connected to that, and then there are people who are outside of that. And I kind of like the simplicity of that, to be honest with you. You know?
Yeah, simplicity is peace for me. It really is.
And think about this. I'm going to throw this question at you. Completely, again, not where I thought, but I love it. So let's stay with it. You know, when you think about the connectivity that we have with people, and I think the difference in that ideology, like I just said, of you're either connected in or you're kind of outside of that. And that really kind of explains that whole like light and dark of people's personality very simply to me. And I don't know, there's something about that I get. Yeah, the people that are in the quote unquote dark or, you know, not connected need more love. And isn't that true? Because now I'm going to go way out on a limb here, and this could be the whiskey. I don't think it is, though. I don't think it is.
No, it's not.
People who are outside of that golden thread need more love, right? And then you think about that. People who are having trauma, and then that's what kind of creates like the mental health stuff, the narcissism or sociopath, psychopath. Yeah. Now, I understand that either psychopaths or sociopath, one they say is born and one is like, you know, foster kids. I shouldn't, you know. I don't want
one you're kind of born with, one you're learned through the environment.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And like the kids, and why I bring up foster kids, like I think about the trauma that usually, you know, you don't get into that program without trauma, right? So that's where I was kind of going with that. But right, and oftentimes those are the people who are stereotyped with these mental health disorders. But to me, like the spiritual connection of like these people need love too. And then hopefully that will change. Now, I know that that's a very hippie kind of way of thought, but I think it also makes sense. And I also want to admit that as a human being, I can't fix everything and everybody. I can't love somebody enough. Like, I don't want to start talking about healthy and unhealthy relationships and blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you all the way. The challenge, though, is the people that have trouble accepting the love.
Yeah. And well, exactly.
Like, how do you... I still try to answer that too, because back in high school, I listened to everyone's problems and found a way to like work through it with them. Mm-hmm. But there's a bunch of people that don't want help. Yeah. And I don't know how you can get through with them. I think you have to force them in situations, but that also seems bad too.
Yeah. That's true.
It's a tough thing. Because some people don't want the help. I've been in situations like I don't want help right now. Sometimes, so I heard a thing like if you're going to vent, tell that person you're venting to whether you want them to just listen or give advice. And
that's a good point.
Because some people just want you to listen. You start giving advice, they're going to go right back down to the gutter because they're like, oh, this fucking guy thinks he knows what I'm going through.
Right. No, I know. And that's the part of ego, I think. And like I said, this can branch off into so many different conversations, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast, just a reminder, is still a super rough draft.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you, I don't like how my mic sounds. And I think it'll sound a little weird in the playback, but
yeah, I think
we'll figure it out.
No, exactly. And I agree. And that's why I said I didn't want to do a trailer because I didn't follow through on that. So there's some of the thing too. In order for me to I plan on this going live, and I'm going to slick up the production, like I said, but I also understand that it's going to be a rough cut.
Yeah.
And so it's not really going to be a first episode as much as it's going to be kind of a pilot to get the vibe, get the feel of what I really want it to be.
I mean, the title is Revival of Vertigo.
That's right.
That's what we're going through.
Exactly. It's true. So there's going to be some growing pains. And this is a studio setup with brand new, like literally just took out of the box. Yeah. And so it's probably, a lot of people would probably say it's pretty foolish to then, just go right into an episode. But I also know me, and kind of going back to, so actually this is a great way to kind of circle this back around. All the things that you're talking about with people needing to accept love and not accepting, and really brought it back to the introspective of like, well, that's why I really got to work on me, because I'm so busy listening to other people. And it's really become a very good defense mechanism to not really fix anything because I'm great at giving advice. I'm not great at following my advice. And people have said this to me before. They're like, oh, dude, you give such great advice, or you should be a therapist or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I always am very thankful of that. But in my mind, and this is where I go back to the original OCD kind of perfectionism talk, in my mind, what happens is the invasive or intrusive, what I call the negative, kind of starts seeping in, and like, yeah, but you don't even follow your own advice, you stupid fucker. Like, you don't, that's you know what I mean? They don't know that you're feeling insecure. They don't know that you feel like a fuck up, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was in the exact same boat. And that's where a lot of people thought I became an asshole getting out of high school, into college, out of college, because I became less talkative and less helpful. But at some point, you got to become selfish.
Yeah, you do.
To worry about yourself.
I agree.
And that's when I started listening to my advice I'd give to others. And I no longer have to be happy from helping other people or doing something for another person. It feels good, but that's not where the core of the happiness comes from. The core of my happiness comes from my actions. Am I a good father? Am I a good boyfriend? Am I doing my best? Is there anything I can do better? Just the reflection on my own self. You learn a lot.
I agree.
Just looking in the mirror. Ask yourself questions. If you're talking to yourself about like your OCD, if you're giving bad thoughts, why not switch it up a quick moment? Give good thoughts.
Exactly.
And
you're 100%
that
right.
helps. Just think positive.
It does.
And there's positive atmosphere around you.
Well, it's 100% true.
Ooh, spitting facts.
It's 100%. I think this is in order. Ready? So this is our new soundboard that we get to play with. Ready?
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
right.
Cool. Now, can you edit sounds on there?
I don't know if this has the ability to.
It just has its own default.
I think it's just the presets.
You still have the manual for that?
I do.
We'll take a look after this.
Yeah, because it would be really cool, because it's got some sound effects on here that are neat. So let's do a little quick segue on the show. Okay. We've been talking about some serious stuff, so we're going to give our listeners' ears a break for a minute and segue. I think actually we're about half an hour in, so I think that this is perfect to kind of lighten the mood for a minute. So we're going to now play for everybody the new soundboard. We're going to kind of screw around with it. And I'm going to give everybody a little intro to our sound bites. Okay. You already heard this one. Which is very nice. I mean, I can see that being a little useful, a little obnoxious.
Someone starts preaching.
That's right.
And it sounds good.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Give them their flowers, right?
Give them their flowers.
That's right. That's right. This is a yell. So listeners, be forewarned. This is a yell. Yep, there you go.
So That's funny.
I like that one. I can see that one. That might become a hot button. That's right. That might become a hot button. Yeah, I like that one. Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, that's funny. That's funny.
All right. The next one is, I can't read this from back here, actually. So, and I don't want to move. I like where my mic is.
So that's if like crickets are chirping, right? That's like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Right. Like, okay. All right. What's the next one?
I told you I shit my pants yesterday.
Yeah, we need a little laugh track because, in all honesty, you can only laugh so much when it's just two people staring across the table at each other, right? But,
yeah.
All right, let's see. Oh, okay. What? Oh yeah, okay. I feel a verse coming.
Yeah.
Nah, never mind.
All these sounds are good for when you're soloing podcast.
Yeah,
like if anything you say, if you can just remember some way, somehow what the buttons do,
right?
Like you remember their sound.
I would need a notepad or something to say, and to me, it would have to be like column 1 top, column 2, top, whatever.
Like for example, what if like you're doing a solo podcast and you're about to like, I don't know, you have a segment in there where you're naming your new followers and thank you, Jared. Thank you, Kenny.
And then
yes, exactly.
Yeah, that would be. So let's see what all right.
Then if you were reading like a news headline that was like really weird, like, do you know the memes how Florida people are just crazy? Like they get arrested for the craziest things.
Yeah, I've seen those.
You read a headline like that, then maybe it's weird and you do the crows after.
Yeah, you could do the, where was that? That was, I think that's. Yep, that was that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ideas running through my head.
It would be cool.
That's very cool. Yeah.
What's this one?
I know that song. That's like good to play on a holiday. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Someone's bar mitzvah, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, is that supposed to be a kiss?
Yeah. Well,
Mwah.
Yeah, it sounds like an Elvin and the Chipmunk kiss.
Yeah, really. All right, what's this one?
Awesome.
I think that one's awesome.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Ooh, okay.
That's like if you're roasting somebody.
Yeah.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Yeah. Like, what? Oh, dude. What did you think of
Tom Aspinall beats John Jones? Shots fired.
Oh, who's going to win that fight?
Tom, for sure. Not for sure. I think it's going to be one of the most incredible fights. It's right now on the path to be the highest grossing fight for UFC.
Which is crazy because John Jones is like, I don't want to fight anybody that isn't going to make money. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? This is the fight that the UFC fans want to see.
He realized that for sure. Like, I was really hating John Jones because he said he's not going to fight Tom.
Yeah.
But I don't know. After he beat Stipe really well, he feels confident enough to do one more.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah. About what?
About the Stipe fight.
Yeah.
And I won't spend a ton of time on this, but did you not foresee that happening?
We all saw it happening.
Yeah.
You didn't want that fight? You didn't want to see John and Stipe though?
I didn't want to see that fight.
Because usually, I was thinking only the older people wanted to see that. Because they grew up watching Stipe.
I am not about watching fighters
that haven't fought in
years. Right, that. And I'm not, and it's like, and Stipe, all fairness to Stipe, he's been on the couch, man. Yeah. I mean, now I know he's a firefighter. I'm not saying that, but he hasn't been taking, and there is a true thing as a boxer. There is a real thing as ring rust. When you're not in there for a minute, it takes a minute for you to get your timing. So here's the thing. Here's what I would have liked to see as a fan of combat sports, okay?
Yeah.
Because I don't claim to know everything about UFC. Like, I follow UFC, but I'm also honest that I follow BKFC, I follow PFL, and I follow boxing. Like,
you got to follow one more thing.
What's that?
Karate combat.
Okay.
I mean, it's just I don't even know how to explain it. They fight in like a pit, and it's like wrestling mat material.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
It's flat, but then it has just like 40-degree angled walls. That's it. And it's more karate combat style, but it's pretty much MMA, no ground, but you can hit them like 3 times on the ground.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But with the pit wall, like if you can just imagine yourself leaning back 40 degrees and someone can axe kick you like pretty well if you're like laying back.
Yeah.
There's crazy mixed martial arts what's the word I'm looking for? Like fight
Promotions.
no, like the actions of fighting. I don't know. I'm blanking.
No, I'm following you. Combat sports. It's like there's so many varieties that you could probably follow, right?
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of BKFC for sure.
I love BKFC, man.
That is so entertaining, bloody. Every fight I've seen has not been boring. They go right at it every fucking time. Then I just fucking love UFC like with all my heart.
Yeah, I know you and Sean both are huge, and I don't dislike the UFC. I think my interests are this is the problem. I think also with I have like adult ADHD. I think a little bit, and I'm partly kidding about that, but it's like I get so into everything for a minute. You know what I mean? Like BKFC, I was like diehard into it, and now it's like I follow the events. I try to follow when things are going on, but like when I first get into something, man, it's like I am fucking balls deep in it. Like it's bad.
So what helped me
Not
with
bad, but
UFC? Obviously, at a younger age, you can learn things faster and better. So that's UFC is a hard thing to keep up with. There's a lot of fighters.
Yeah,
a fight every Saturday.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't watch the fight nights, which makes it makes me sad that people don't really watch them.
Yeah, because that's to me the only way.
The better fights.
And yes,
like the people
it's
that
like
want to
watching
get for the type. Like yeah. Go ahead.
No. I'm interrupting you.
Rock paper scissors. Who goes first?
Well, to me, I would just get excited, but I think it's like for me, it's like watching college athletes and then watching pro athletes.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Exactly.
The difference being that fight nights, they're not college athletes, but they're the guys who are on the cusp of breaking out.
Yeah, I mean, fight nights, everyone has something to prove. Yeah. Oh, man. It's been 4 weeks without it, dude. Oh, man, I'm dying.
It's coming back.
The first fight night's not even that special either, but I'll watch it. But then there's a pay-per-view after the fight night.
Yes.
It's Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, yep.
And Armin Sakarian or something like that. Are you familiar with him? Because he's a really good fighter. He beat Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, I don't know that I know Islam.
Yeah. Armin's been one of those fighters, like he's not popular in social media because he doesn't do anything crazy. He doesn't post on social media really. But he's a very, very talented fighter. He's like the elite of the elite for sure. He's really good. Standing and ground. He's phenomenal.
See, and that's what
So it should be a really good fight if nothing like happens in the early rounds, like you accidentally hurt yourself or get a bad cut above the eye.
Right.
So I don't know who's going to win that because Armin has guts, you know?
Yeah.
He won't give up. He'll fight until he no longer can fucking fight. And
yeah, he's one of those.
I like those fighters.
Me too. Yeah, all guts, man. Go out there and
grit and gut.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I like grit and gut, and they're not scared to like show off like
MVP a little bit, right? Michael Venom Page.
I love MVP. I don't love him, but I like his fighting style a lot.
Yeah.
Like when he fought Kevin Holland, he was throwing the craziest spinning elbows and backhands. Like I love that entertaining stuff. One of my favorite fighters is Yair Rodriguez, who is just so unpredictable with his kicks. And I think if you have the balls to just throw kicks while fighting, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Because I picture myself fighting, and I'm like, if I'm going to throw a head kick, I got to be in a safe spot. So any of these guys that throw head kicks like crazy, I love it.
That's awesome. I think you found good mic placement, by the way.
I think I did too. Yeah,
I like how you're sounding.
And
Sorry,
it's
not to.
sounding
I don't
better.
want to. I just fucked up the flow, but
No,
I noticed that.
I'm thinking about all of it as I'm
I know,
talking.
yeah, again-
I'm like slowly moving as I'm talking as well.
Pilot episode again, so we get to do that.
Maybe the mic just needed a little warmed up.
I think
needed
so, too.
it needed vocals through it or
Yeah.
something.
See, I think for me, I'm talking more through the side of mine. So
And I'm talking to the top.
yeah,
That's-
but it doesn't matter. I think
yeah.
it's just how you But
Yeah, we're learning.
exactly.
A little live update here.
Okay, what's up?
Sean just texted me. I thought it was going to be important, but he's wondering what I thought about his podcast.
Oh, okay.
So you want to talk about his podcast a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
I'm proud of your son, Sean, for sure.
Absolutely.
He's a busy guy with 2 kids, so I'm glad he's really on top of the releasing every Friday.
He's done a
That's
phenomenal.
great.
See, yeah, he's done a phenomenal job with that.
Did you listen to his last episode?
I did.
Okay, so
I did.
he mentions, and he told me this in person. He did he tried to do a podcast just laying in bed.
Yes.
How can you fucking do that?
I don't know,
dude?
man. I was thinking about that as he was telling me the story.
You're
and
way-
Sean, first of all, Shawnee, I love you, buddy. I love you, man. And but when he started telling me that, and I think he agrees with this, which is why I deleted him.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, I was laying in bed. As soon as that came out of his mouth, like literally bad came out.
Yeah, it's like,
I was like, dude, what the fuck?
Hey.
You can't lay in bed and do a podcast, man. Maybe you can. I don't know. I can't.
but that just shows how much
Sorry.
he's trying for Maple Talks, though.
Yeah.
If he has to lay in bed and get an episode out, he will do it. Yeah,
Absolutely. And that's great because he's dedicated to his craft. And
And it makes him happy. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
And it's almost endless learning.
It is.
He did his Facebook Live.
Mhm.
Do you have Facebook?
I don't see now
That's fine.
Well, here's the problem. A quick side note.
You go ahead.
Yeah, I know that's going to be the problem for me with marketing Vertigo because I
You can
don't
do-
have any social media. And believe it or not, as much as I love doing the podcast and I want the podcast to be successful, I would love for it to, like Sean was talking about on his episode about blowing up and getting 1,000. I don't know if he said 1,000 listens or 1,000 people listening.
Yes.
But it's not.
I know what you're talking about.
Right. I mean, that's a phenomenal goal for somebody who's small or.
Well, I mean, you don't
know.
need a personal page anyway.
Yeah.
So,
You need a marketing person.
but I think you are better at it than you think.
Well, that's the irony.
Are you good at talking to strangers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're all into the small businesses, I feel like Plas Guy has a lot. I could be wrong. I don't
it's
know
the
much.
backbone of this community for sure.
So, I mean, yeah, you don't need a personal page to promote Vertigo. It's only easier because you already have people following you on Facebook. You could easily just make a Vertigo business page like
Yeah.
Sean has Maple Talks. Then you just grow from there. And what Sean showed me is you can put in money for more people to see your post
Oh, okay.
as like an ad. I
Wow,
think
that's cool.
I
Shit.
think, yeah. So you pay $5, it's gonna show it's gonna be on 100 people's timeline scrolling through. It would be slower for
Right.
sure, but I mean, what do all the successful people say? Hard work, consistency.
Yep.
You'll get there.
Exactly.
It just takes time.
No, I agree with you. And
And-
that's where the perfectionist, that kind of, not to go back, but
Yeah.
that's 100% a great example of the perfectionist mind is like, I'm never going to get there. I don't have Joe Rogan money. I don't, no, seriously, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you start putting up roadblocks before you even get started. It's ridiculous.
But
It really
what
is ridiculous.
What happens to roadblocks eventually?
Well, you got to knock them down. You got to plow
You
through
gotta
them,
have
right?
a road there anyway.
Yeah, you got to kick through them. And so I agree. So I'm just kind of using that as an example of I want this. So this podcast is therapy for me too, because my goal is to be better.
Yeah.
And in order to be successful, instead of putting up the roadblocks,
Yeah.
start opening doors, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's what they call the keys of success, baby. I'm gonna be a little I don't know, with a schmoozy a little bit, I guess. You know, like, hey man, it's all about the keys of success, baby. You got to open those doors. You know,
Keys to success.
That's right.
You know who's got the keys? DJ Khaled.
Oh, does he?
That's just.
I wish there should be a
called I Got
sound
the
button
Keys.
for him, right? But I guess then I'd have to pay the fucker, and he's making enough money right now.
Just do DJ Cat. Just stop it.
DJ Cat. Anyway,
no, I mean, if you can picture in your mind like a line graph,
yeah,
your podcast it's going to be hard work. You're going to be going up a steep hill.
I agree.
But every hill has a downhill. So
yeah, man.
It's better to start hard and you end nicely than to start easy and hard.
Yep, I agree with you.
So, yeah. So, I mean, after this, we'll talk too. I have some other ideas that can just help with formats to help because you want to be authentic for sure.
Yeah.
But you might be a person that needs a structure, like a foundation. Then you can build your house, which is the voice of your podcast.
No, I think you're right about that. I think you're right about that.
There's a lot of things we'll talk about.
Yeah, man.
This.
We can only go, and I think that's the excitement. I think, and again, why this is going to be more like a pilot episode than an episode one because I think this is kind of like the mind spinning Vertigo on where we can really take this thing and where we can grow. I'm very excited, honestly, about the conversations that you and I already had during the episode, during this pilot.
Yes.
Because it really went, this is what excites me. It's like, it already went in places for me that were like just phenomenal. Like, I don't even know how you would top it, but I do before we go, because we're about 45 minutes in, and not that I'm a clock watcher, but I'm also trying to be cognizant of of the learning that we actually rewind all the way back to the very opening sentence of the podcast. We were talking about the growing from. So like on the rocks, when I did On the Rocks with Matthew, that podcast would go 2.5, 3 hours. And not that was bad, because it was about cigars and whiskey, and it takes a good minute to smoke a cigar.
Oh yeah.
And so it worked for that, because we were letting, like, the whole premise of the show, not to really plug it because it's kind of dead now, but you know, it was commenting what a blue collar's take, right? A couple of blue collar, you know, lower middle class, and I'm not saying that as a negative, but I'm defining what we were, and commenting on kind of a white collar thing, right? Pairing expensive whiskey and cigars, right? And that was the satire part of it, but it could go 2.5, 3 hours because it took that long to smoke a cigar. Yeah. And we would have conversation, but always bring it back to what we were knit to, you know, the tasting notes of the cigar and stuff. This I want to try to kind of keep to like what I think people's peak interest is, which is about an hour, maybe an hour and 15, not much beyond
I think it's absolutely better. But I think when you were doing On the Rocks, you were just having fun.
Yeah, did you listen to that?
Yeah. You guys didn't have much episodes, right?
No,
maybe 5
or 6, maybe.
Yeah. I know I listened to 3 of them. I know that for sure.
It was cool.
It was good.
Fun.
And this might be a little weird, but I remember I was excited to listen to your podcast then, and I didn't even listen to podcasts at that time. I was
that's cool, man.
15, 16.
Yeah, but, it was a minute. It was like, Jesus Christ.
But I remember turning it on before bed, and I just listened to it.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool shit. That's such an honor. So, as I said, as we're kind of winding down, I want to do something a little light, and I want to talk about, because one of the reasons that really got me so excited about doing this was you text me about music, and I know, because I don't know if you remember, but we were in the car driving to Florida when we went to Universal Studios. Oh, you sat up front with me.
Okay, pause there though. Okay. I will never ever forget that. Ever.
No. Okay.
I've had 0 friends listen to that much Drake than you have. We listened to every Drake album and mixtape from beginning to end.
Yes, we did.
You went all the way, so I always appreciate that, man.
Well, yeah, man.
Because Drake's still my favorite artist. Yeah, most of his music isn't as good as it used to, but he has bangers still out there.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of fucking haters.
Well, obviously he's still relevant, or there wouldn't have been a Kendrick Lamar Drake beef, really, right? Because don't beefs come from like you've got two guys who are at the
That shit goes deep, man. It goes deep.
I'm not a huge. So I think I said this on Maple Talks actually. So if anyone's listened to that, I don't want to repeat too much, but but at the same time, this is my show, so fuck it, I'll say what I want. But
You and Sean are so alike.
I
It's unreal.
It's but I think one of the things that I was talking about, I'm not huge. It's weird. I have weird hip hop knowledge. So for example, I watched a documentary about hip hop music. I think it was on Netflix or Hulu. It was on one of those two. I don't know which one, so I can't give proper credit. But
do you remember the name of it?
I think it was called The History of Hip Hop.
Okay.
I think,
Okay.
and it talked about how hip hop started growing in New York City, and the reason I got interested in it is because it talked about how hip hop couldn't find a place. They couldn't find a place to perform, so they performed on block parties. But as the punk movement in New York City started to move, what happened was hip hop artists started collaborating with the punk artists to put on live shows in venues.
Okay.
And so hip hop and punk were kind of married, both kind of coming as an uprising from the streets of New York City, but then also because they were also putting shows together so that they could, because hip hop guys couldn't find a venue and punk guys couldn't necessarily afford a venue because they were, so anyway, long story short.
Yeah.
So my point in this long drawn out thing is I tend to get into these documentaries and things that talk about history, but I don't necessarily know all of the artists. Like, I can name some Jay-Z songs. I can name a lot of Drake songs. But I also like Kendrick Lamar. So I'm kind of one of these, weird hip hop fans where it's like, I don't know really why Drake and Kendrick Lamar are beefing, but man, that song was hot, I mean,
it all starts with Drake didn't write his own raps, but
he's been blamed of ghostwriting forever, though.
I mean, it 100% happened, but everyone's just so mad about it because if you're a real rapper, you write your own. But I could go on Kendrick Lamar's songs and see that he wrote with somebody else. Everyone has help.
Well,
and
right.
Drake's wrote for so many other people too.
Well,
He's wrote for Kanye a lot.
Right.
So that's just dumb hate. But
yeah,
it's competitiveness, right?
Well, sure. Hip hop is competitive.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It was a beautiful thing for me because I love Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole. Those are my top three. Love them so much.
Have you listened to GNX?
GNX?
Yeah. The Kendrick. Yep.
I don't like it.
No?
No, I don't know. It's all over the place. And a lot of the songs are just like chaotic, which fits, the young people listening to the music. But I'm still a fan of that storytelling or just good songs. But most of his songs are so chaotic and he's changing voices a lot.
I know.
I
lose interest in that a little bit.
I do too. It's not bad, but it's just, I'm not about it.
Yeah.
I'm not about that whole changing voice. And
I think that's why I got sick of Eminem, to be honest with you.
But Eminem's most recent album, I forget what it's called. It was like, the whole concept of the album, though, was Slim Shady versus Marshall.
Which I think is a cool concept.
Yeah. I mean, did you listen to it? Because
I don't think that I know songs off it because obviously songs were released off it.
I'll send you some good songs off of that album. It's good. But you're right, though. Eminem did do that a little bit, too. And is like, I don't know if you remember his song Berserk.
I do.
Yeah, that's funny. It's on your sweater.
Yeah.
But, that song was too much for me. There's a lot of things happening. But music's good. I've never watched a music documentary. I watch a lot of crime ones, though, and it's fucking me up.
Yeah, it's funny.
I don't trust a soul.
I know. And, it's funny because Min and I were just talking about this because we get into the true crime documentaries.
Yeah.
We've decided to take a break after Christmas. We've been taking a little bit of a break because, she started having like nightmares and shit. And it just makes, it's like,
the world's fucked up.
It is.
It is so fucked.
It is.
Oh, here's a story. I don't know if you probably never heard of it, but I was at work one day and my girlfriend Maddie calls me and she says she was getting gas with Paxton, and a crackhead just walked up to her and tried to touch Paxton. And Maddie was like screaming. She ran into Stewart's and told the cashier, like, this guy's trying to touch me and the baby. That was a scary situation.
Crazy. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing gets done, though.
No, I know. No,
Yeah, I
I
mean-
was thinking of a couple of times. I was going to tell you a story too of a similar situation, not as serious because obviously it was just me, but yeah. Somebody just walking right up to my car window. Yeah, like thinking they were going to reach in. They got a quick.
Yeah, these people don't know
Yeah.
I have a knife right in my car door too.
Oh yeah, I'm always got a knife on me, but also I'm just, I'm not Billy Badass, but don't fuck with me.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I think that's what I'm trying. It's like I'm more ready for you than you are aware.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I want it to happen. It's on my bucket list to do one amateur fight because I'm such a big fan. I need to know what it feels like.
Yeah,
it's a sport thing to do, but to talk shit about the fighters or the athletes, like, come on, why the fuck did you let him do that?
I think isn't there a BJJ gym coming to the Oswego area?
I think so, but I'd want to start like kickboxing. I think.
Yeah,
because I don't know. I just want to be able to throw strikes properly in the right way before grappling.
Dude, we should we'll have to break my boxing equipment. It's been a long time since I worked the mitts and whatnot, but it would be fun. It would be fun.
How old was I? I think I was out of high school, and I almost boxed a kid because he would post on his Snapchat of him boxing other people, but these other people didn't know how to throw a punch.
Right.
And he would like talk himself up, like, oh, who wants it next? Blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there like, dude, you're fighting people who can't fight.
Right.
And this kid was like 250 fighting like 150 people.
Well, that's the thing.
Like,
and that's why
your arm goes right through him.
And that's why there's weight classes and stuff. You know what I mean?
And I was like, all right, bet. I'm gonna act like I hate him just so he wants to fight me. And I mean, it was good. I was practicing throwing punches with Sean because I'm like, I'm gonna hurt this guy.
Yeah, there you go.
But it never happened because he wanted to do it at 3 p.m. in the broad daylight. I wanted to do it at night.
Yeah.
But he was friends with cops, so I thought he was planning something stupid.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I thought he was going to try to get his cop buddies there.
Well, especially if he thinks he's finally got a challenge, right? I mean, then it's going to be...
But he didn't think he had a challenge. He was just making fun of me the whole time. But I was happy about it. It was fun for me.
Yeah, it's a whole
Good
different...
times.
It is a whole different... like, boxing. It's a whole different vibe from training and then stepping between the ropes and getting in there.
Yeah, and I know
it's
that
a different
too.
vibe.
That's why I want to do an amateur fight because I'm not a big talker. I just want to know what it feels like.
Yeah. Hey, in my opinion, everybody should experience that at least once in their life, you know?
Yeah, because I know I don't know how to fight well. So I would like to.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's kind of like an experience that you feel like it's a tool you feel like you should have in your tool belt. At least know, not to say that you have to go kicking everybody's ass in every fucking bar or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Not that kind of attitude, but that like I want to know how this feels like because if this ever arises, I want it to not be the first time.
Yeah,
I want to be in control for the first time.
And if it does happen, you want to have a sense of confidence. Like
exactly, I've been here before.
You can do this. Yeah,
I've done this. Yeah,
because I know if I get in a fight now, I'm gonna be like, let's go for it. Let's see what happens.
Right, it's gonna be all willy nilly.
And if you go against someone who can throw a punch, it's a different world out there.
Well, right.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is, man, the biggest part of fighting is learning how to move. So it's hard to hit a moving target.
I think the biggest thing...
Moving your head.
I think the number one thing is cardio.
Well, that too. You got to be able to breathe.
Fucking with Sean on the ground for 2 minutes is tiring.
Well, so here's a perfect... So I used to go regularly. The YMCA in Oswego had a little boxing room that they had in the back. And I used to go there. I also there was a boxing club in Oswego that I went to, and there was also a boxing club in Watertown.
Still a strong boxing club in Oswego.
Perfect. Yeah, shout out to the Oswego Boxing Club. Yeah. Where was I going to go with that? So it's a great workout. Throwing punches. So one of the things that you would never realize is how winded you can get through them. So the very first time I ever worked the mitts with somebody, right? And what I mean by working the mitts is you got the coach with the mitts on, and then you got your gloves on, and you're firing, strikes at the mitts, right? So anyway, the first time I was so proud. I finally got to this moment where the coach was like, "Hey, you wanna hit mitts?" Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Fucking yes, I do. Right? And you get up there and he's like, okay, 1, 3, 2, because you got your jab, your cross, your uppercut, whatever, right? Everything's got a number. So not to get long-winded about it, but 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 3, 1, 2, 2, whatever. And so you're doing this, like, pop, 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 right? And all of a sudden you're like, holy fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I've only thrown 6 combinations and I feel like I'm gonna fucking,
Yeah.
like it's work, man.
Yeah, your son had a punching bag. He had
That's
like one of those balls that kind of fly at you.
Those things are great too.
I mean, it's 5 minutes on one of them. It's tiring.
Yeah.
And that puts it in perspective for you on how crazy these fighting athletes are.
Dude,
it's insane. It's like superhuman stuff.
I agree.
It really is.
Only
fighters can do that. If you're not a fighter, you're fucked.
That's what I was just going to say. I've always said the best conditioned athletes across any sport, and I will argue this, I will die on this hill, the best conditioned athletes out of any sport are fighters.
Combat, yeah.
Yep.
Because if your cardio goes, everything goes.
Yep.
Like your cardio is like your fucking backbone to success.
Well, and I'm not talking shit about other sports because obviously I don't play football, I don't play baseball, so they're obviously difficult sports, right? Because if they weren't difficult, everybody would be out there being an athlete.
Yeah.
And so I understand the difficult, but as far as, like I said, try fighting. So in the UFC, you get 5-minute rounds. Try fighting for 25 minutes. Try fighting for 10 minutes.
Not even. It's that first 5 minutes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
It really is.
It's insane, the amount. So
Sean and I can wrestle for 5 minutes, but again, we're only wrestling, not using proper technique. So we're using less muscle anyway, and we're getting tired.
Right.
Man, like I said, they're superhuman. It's
incredible.
Wild.
Absolutely incredible.
But then all these people who don't watch it, then they see grappling and they stop watching it. They don't get it. They don't get the
no,
I don't know what they don't get.
I think it's also, and we could spend a whole episode talking about this, to be honest, but I think it's also why the Olympics were thinking to get rid of Olympics. That made no fucking sense.
That's funny.
Why the Olympics were thinking of getting rid of wrestling.
You should. That's where you do the crickets.
Actually. Yeah. Well, there was one more.
Whoa.
We didn't press that one. That one's stupid, though. What is that?
I think that's if, like, you were doing a live podcast and someone just followed real quick. Bing, bing, bing.
Oh,
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
That was a weird one. But no, fighters are definitely, and I think, anyway, what I was starting to say, and before I digressed, is I think the Olympics were getting rid of wrestling because people see it as quote-unquote boring. But if you're truly invested in the sport, you know what's going on. It is not boring.
No.
And wrestling now, because of MMA, is probably at its peak as far as interest, to be honest with you. So
the most popular fighters in UFC are grapple based.
Yeah.
Habib,
Agreed.
Hamzat, Chimaev, everyone thinks he's a killer. He's grapple dominant.
Specifically, those gentlemen from Georgia. And
yes,
well, I don't want to say gentlemen because, for example, I was thinking Russia and Chen Russia in general, but Valentina.
Shevchenko.
I mean, from Russia. She's from Russia, right? She's incredible.
Yeah, but she's good everywhere.
Yeah, I was going to say she's grounded on the ground.
Yeah, but I think she mostly strikes because she got rear naked choked, I think, by Alexa Grasso.
Yeah, I remember that.
And lost the title.
Yep. So as a segue out of our first episode,
well, I got something to ask you.
All right, yeah.
Why name the podcast Vertigo, and what does the podcast mean to you? And what do you want it to mean for others? That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. All right, so I'm going
So
to break this up.
Yeah, why Vertigo?
Well, because I was diagnosed with vertigo.
And
I thought it was funny. I find humor
like?
in that, and all these weird things. So, vertigo is when there is. I'm going to put it in layman's terms because that's how I understand it.
Yeah.
So basically, there is a part of the inner ear. There's something with, I don't know if it's one of the small bones or whatever has dislodged, and it's just floating in the maybe cochlea. I don't know. It's
you
floating.
Would know more than
it's
me.
floating.
Yeah.
And so what happens is it creates an imbalance. If you ever notice me walking away, especially when I first get up, I always look like I'm drunk. I stagger the first couple of steps, and then and it's usually when I first stand up or get out of, get out of bed or whatever, because it's that. So it's that constant, like, head spin a little bit, like when you're drunk and you got to put your foot on the floor to stop the bed from spinning.
Is it
it's like that
24/7 fear?
Yeah, it's not that severe as the bed spins 24/7, but it's always there. It never really goes away. I've been to a chiropractor. I've got it adjusted a couple of times, and that seems to have helped more than medicine has helped.
Yeah,
there's really no medicine for it.
It makes you unbalanced.
Yes, very much so.
Does it affect anything visually?
I mean,
like, you don't all of a sudden start seeing like the world spinning.
No. It's more inner. It's like that. It's like drunk spins kind of thing.
Yeah.
So no, nothing like that. But the name of the podcast came from that, and originally too, I was kind of, like I said, poking fun at. You can still listen to the old Vertigo episodes actually, and you can kind of hear what I'm talking about. But I would pick like a news story that I found humorous though. Like one was a missing Malaysian plane, and I was like, well, how the fuck does a government in 2019 like lose a plane, right? So it was just kind of me being I don't want to say funny, but like
kind of curious, open.
Yeah, like kind of like ribbing on it a little bit, right? And so so that's how it became Vertigo, because it was like supposed to be like picking articles out deeper from the newspaper, not necessarily just front page stuff. Like I didn't necessarily talk about like politics or anything that was front page. Like it was more, just kind of shit that my head would spin on, that I'd lay awake at night. And so my head would spin on it. And so therefore Vertigo.
Okay, that's cool. So then the second question was, what do you want it to mean? What does this podcast mean to you?
Yeah, well, and that's incredible. I think I want this to be a place where people can be real. I think that I want to be able to, like we talked about in the beginning of the podcast, talk about my growth and introspects, I guess, that I have as now being a grandparent, like we were talking about, kind of like that. But I think I also want to be a little vulnerable, because I feel like lots of people need to be vulnerable, and lots of people don't know how to do that or begin or whatnot. So as a person who has struggled with vulnerability, I thought, what if we had some challenging talks? Like, doesn't have, like, again, and when I want to say challenging, it's like the golden thread and the spirit, like kind of stuff that we already really opened up. So not anything more drastic than that. I just want it to be meaningful. Yeah. I want people to be able to listen back to it and say, oh shit, yeah.
Maybe be able to take something from it.
Yeah, or even validate something that they're struggling with. Yeah. But at the same time, I needed to have the flair of my personality. Like you were jokingly saying how Sean and I are so much alike, and it's like I need that to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, just be yourself. Yeah, that's it. Then the last question was, but it'll kind of tie into the first one. I think you answered it. Is like, what do you want it to mean for others? Yeah. And you pretty much answered that.
Yeah. I want people to get something out of it. And I also want people to have a break from the mundane, though, too. Yeah. I want people to tune in and be able to laugh as much as they are also. I want it to be equal parts fun, and I don't want to say serious, but introspective is the word that keeps coming to mind. Like,
Yeah. Fun, real.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be vulnerable, you got to be an open book. You kind of got to cut yourself in half and let people read.
Yeah, a little bit, right? See some things that maybe peel back the curtain, so to speak,
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many podcasts, and they're all great. Like there's true crime podcasts, there's lifestyle podcast, there's politics, there's news, I think I want this to be like from my little corner in the world, which maybe doesn't mean a whole lot, but actually it's this a very similar voice to the greater population in a sense, right? Because how many of us will be I don't know, name your favorite podcaster that probably has, millions of views. Like all of us daydream about that, right?
Joe Rogan.
Right. But the truth of the matter is, like, I just want to be a voice for maybe my people. I don't know what the right, you know what I mean?
You just want to be a voice for people who do listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether it's 1 or 100.
Exactly.
1 matters, 100 matters.
And I think I want it to grow every episode. Like I think I in my mind I love those questions because I want to keep that on the forefront. Like,
yeah, are you ready? This is one of my favorite analogies. If you want it to grow, how do you make a plant grow? What do? You
got to water it. You got to tend to it. You weed. You got to take care of it. You got to put work in.
Yep. And that's what I like about your son, Sean. Even when he's not recording, he's on his laptop thinking of captions, you just water it and it'll grow.
Yeah.
I usually use that analogy for drama.
Right.
Like a lot of people be like, oh, well, I got to text him to find this out. That's watering it for it to grow.
Right.
That's where I use that analogy. But
no, and it's a good point. Yeah. And that's where I think I need to get better too is you can't just expect one episode and then just like flop it out. That's why I said, like, I want to get more serious too about production. I really want to hone in like how we can make this whole thing sound better episode to episode. You know,
it will. It will. I told a coach once, I suck at basketball. He said, no, you don't. You just don't play enough. I was, okay, you're right. You're kind of right, dude. I don't play enough, and that's why I'm kind of bad at it. Right.
Yep. And see, and this is where it's important, I think, to take those next steps because you can say to yourself, hey, that's kind of weird to hear that. Sounds like tapping.
Yeah.
Maybe we should turn this into a paranormal podcast. Mm-hmm. No, but anyway.
I believe my uncle Chuck Sanders has that.
What's that? A paranormal?
He's a very big paranormal guy. Like he loves it. He loves it.
I think I had gotten it. I have so many. That's a whole. We'll save that for another podcast to talk about paranormal because I think that's it's a cool topic.
It is a cool.
And like
topic.
True crime, I've gotten into wicked documentaries, but then you start to wonder like how much of it, like all reality TV, how much of this is made to sell. You know?
Yeah, I mean you got to be careful with documentaries because they can make you think of something and it's not totally the right thing.
Right.
A lot of the crime documentaries I've seen, it's been like the police's fault, where they just think they got the right guy and they don't want to do any more investigation, but they got fucking 10 other people saying that's not the guy.
Right.
And they just like, no, we got the guy. But who knows? Maybe they actually did try and didn't find the evidence. Right. But the documentary makes it seem like they don't try.
Exactly.
So you never know.
Right. Well, everybody's selling an idea, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want to end it somewhere? Did you have something?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I think this is great for the first introduction.
Yeah.
To Vertigo and to the product. Right?
Yeah.
But no, I think this is great. I really appreciate that you were joining me, and I think my closing question is, and this is where I'm gonna end it on a question. What is interesting to you about Vertigo?
Me?
Mm-hmm. Like, why did you want to get on here? What was it that drew you here to this?
The host of it, you.
Oh, thank you for that.
Really. If it wasn't you, I mean, I probably wouldn't be here. Right.
Yeah.
But
I guess that's true.
You know, I could go deeper in that though. It's something you started and stopped. And I wanted to get you back on the track.
Yeah, man.
Like,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you stopped it. Then you mentioned it in Maple Talks on your first episode there. And you were very happy and enthusiastic about it. So I just kicked you in your ass. I just gave you the first step.
You did, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's really it. I mean, really none about me.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in it, that you're doing it.
And I appreciate that, man. Because it just goes to show that interest then brings you, brought me into it. The interest is what kind of pulled me back in.
Yeah. But then if no one listens to it, you got to keep going.
Absolutely. I'm not worried about that because when I dropped On the Rocks, I didn't expect there to be any enthusiasm about it. I thought it was really just needing to kind of satisfy my own creativity, I think, because I am, well, you're not used to be. I am a musician.
Yeah.
But I am not active as a musician anymore. And I think this is just the next phase of creativity for me.
What's your favorite instrument?
That's tough. Drums, probably, though.
You like percussion?
I was a drummer before I was anything else. And then I because of just my love for music, I picked up other instruments. Like I went to drums, piano, all self-taught, except for drums. I guess maybe that's too why I love the drums so much, is I actually am schooled.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But then I learned piano. Then I learned guitar. I can dabble on bass a little bit. I can play trumpet. I can play mandolin. So
I like trumpets or trombones. I'd love to learn one of them. The trombone has the
slide. Yeah.
So I'd like to use the trombone and a piano. Those are my two favorite.
Yeah, man.
I don't know how to play them, but
hey, just like the podcast starts somewhere, right?
Exactly.
You know, you just do it. I think you just jump on.
There's so many things I want to do when I get my own house. Being in an apartment, you're kind of stuck. But
yeah, confined a little bit.
Yeah.
So, all right, I said that was the last question, but This is truly the last question. You're gonna come back?
Yeah. Call and I'm there.
All right. Because here's the thing, too. Real quick, as a segue out. No, you're good. You're good. I like conversation, and as much as I don't want to rely on there being a co-host, or I don't want to put that kind of pressure on somebody to do that, I can't imagine doing Vertigo, and I think this is why I didn't stick with it in the beginning. I can't imagine it as a solo podcast. I'm not saying anything against solo podcasting. It's just not. But it's not comfortable for me.
Those buttons on your soundboard make it more
interactive.
Yeah, and as I'm figuring out this mic,
I know
it is much better to be direct
on it, right?
Yeah, it is much better to be direct.
It's definitely,
as you're hearing me right now.
Yeah. We're gonna
I'm
have
just a short guy, and gravity's not working.
I know. Well, and these might not be the best stands. We'll have to play with it a little bit.
Yeah, but direct.
Yeah,
that is the way. That is the way.
You almost got to be.
Well, I don't even know. Yeah, on it, but like, my voice can't go across it. It's got to go into the mic.
I wonder if that's the preset too, though. I might see. This is where we got to learn, and this is where the production's going to get better, people. So I appreciate you hanging with me. But on that note,
yeah, I'll let you end it here.
Yeah, man.
It was good.
I think we got to end it this way. No.
Wrong button.
Wrong button. See, I got to learn this thing.
Do it again.
Wait, there we go. I think that we ended there, right? We say, thank you all. It's been a party. It's been real. And it's been Vertigo. Peace.